In Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the Androsphinx is a large, lawful neutral monstrosity with an armor class of 17 and 199 hit points. They are depicted as male lions with eagle wings, giving them the ability to fly. They have great stats across the board, with the exception of a 0 in dexterity. They do, however, have a +9 to dexterity saving throws, as well as saving throw bonuses in Constitution, Intelligence, and Wisdom, making them particularly good against most upper-level spellcasters. They have a +9 to Arcana, a +10 to Perception, and a +15 to Religion checks. They are immune to psychic damage and any non-magical attacks, and they are also immune to being charmed or frightened, and have true sight up to 120 feet and a passive perception of 20. They have the inscrutable trait that makes them immune to effects that read their thoughts and emotions, and imposes disadvantage on all insight checks. The Androsphinx is also a spellcaster with a spell save of 18 and an attack bonus of 10. It has several damaging spells, but the majority of its spells are based around healing and removing magical effects. The most interesting to me is the level 6 spell Hero's Feast, which is meant to grant certain HP bonuses to an entire party. In combat, the Androsphinx can use 2 claw attacks or its magical roar, which can be heard by everyone within 500 feet and gets louder with each use. The first roar frightens anyone who fails a DC 18 Wisdom save. The second one deafens and frightens anyone who fails its DC 18 save, and anyone already frightened is immediately paralyzed. The third and final roar forces players to make a DC 18 con save, or else take 8d8 thunder damage, a damage type that very few creatures or classes have tools to mitigate. The Androsphinx can also take legendary actions, using 1 to make a claw attack, 2 to teleport itself 120 feet, or 3 to cast any of its spells using a spell slot. When an Androsphinx is in its lair, it also gets the following lair actions at initiative count 20. Each effect can only be used once and refreshes after a short or long rest. The Androsphinx can force everyone to re-roll initiative, and can choose to keep their own roll if it wants to. It can force all players to make a Constitution DC 15 save, or else become 1d20 years younger, but no younger than 1 year old. This effect can be reversed using Greater Restoration, which the Androsphinx conveniently has slotted. The Sphinx can also forward or rewind time by 10 years, and only it is aware of the shift. Only a wish spell can return a player and up to 7 others back to their original time. Finally, the Sphinx can plane shift itself and all creatures it can see within its lair to another plane of existence, and can return itself and up to 7 creatures back to its lair with a bonus action. To preface how I would use the Androsphinx as a DM, I just want to note that I believe these creatures are not meant to be fought. Its roar abilities are meant to incapacitate victims and drive them away, and many of their spells are focused on avoiding combat entirely. All of its other spells are used to heal or fortify a group of brave adventurers. In addition, all of their lair actions seem to be about pacification or ridding the Sphinx of pesky intruders. Therefore, I believe that Sphinxes are to be used as quest givers or mentors to the party. However, I could see a Sphinx being used as an enemy against a high-level party, or as the initiator of a questline spanning multiple levels. Dropping a low-level party into a Sphinx's lair and time-traveling them would be a really interesting story hook. If a combat encounter were to happen, I would have the Sphinx use its roar and spells to deter a party, giving them fair warning that this creature does not want to fight them, but will defend itself if necessary. I would then use legendary actions to cast Banishment and to further warn the party that they are getting in too deep. If they keep pushing, I would cast Flame Strike in order to deal some real damage as a final warning. If they still don't get the hint that this is a bad idea, I would use the lair actions in order of increasing danger, both to continue to warn them subtly, and to, honestly, mess with my players. I would have them reroll the initiative, but I would probably skip the time skip abilities unless part of the overall story I'm telling has something to do with time travel. If the players have dealt too much damage or keep pushing the Sphinx, the final action would be for the Sphinx to teleport them all to another plane, preferably one very hard to escape like the Nine Hells, the Abyss, or Pandemonium. I would have it tell them that it warned them and it tried to talk, but that they pushed it too far. Then, I'd have it use its bonus action to pop it back to its lair alone, leaving them stranded in a hostile plane. The Androsphinx is based upon the traditional Egyptian myth. In most Egyptian myths, the Sphinx is depicted as male with the lower body of a lion. Pharaohs and other powerful men in Egyptian society were often used to depict the upper half, like the famous Great Sphinx of Giza, which is generally assumed to be in the likeness of Pharaoh Khafra. Many statues of sphinxes are located outside of tombs and other holy sites, and many tales preserved from ancient Egypt liken them to Bastet, guardians of the underworld, temples, and sacred sites. The Egyptian Sphinx is often depicted as a wise guardian who metes out the god's will and protects places and people from the wicked. When comparing the Androsphinx to the Sphinx from Egyptian myth, we find a lot of similarities. The imagery is the same with the exception of a more feline face in D&D, and the role as a guardian is evident in both their abilities and lair actions. The Sphinx is so closely intertwined with Egyptian heritage and identity that it has become the emblem of Egypt and is on their stamps, coins, and government documents. However, there is another group of ancient humans who had their own version of the Sphinx. If you enjoyed that video, consider giving it a like and giving me a follow. And for more of my videos, you can find me on Twitch @Moglaroo, YouTube @MoglarooStreams, and TikTok @MoglarooStreams as well.